Today, we're gonna put a new handle on this vintage Mora. I was in a thrift store one day and I found this cool old Mora. It's got this interesting sheath and the blade is great. It's tapered at the top. It has a really nice bevel. It's a nice length. I guess that's what you call the Mora Classic. I don't know. I don't have a newer Mora Classic to compare it to. I sharpened it up really well. The spine is 90 degrees, so you can throw sparks with it. I find it really good for carving the sides of a kuksa. Because of that long blade, you can really do nice long planing cuts. But the problem is, look at this handle. It's so small. Here, let's compare it to a regular Mora handle. So my regular Mora, that's the 106, look at the handles together. So this must have been a child's knife or something. Even this handle I find a bit small. So we're gonna carve a new handle for this and put a new handle on it. I've been watching the Zed Outdoors videos he did with Peter Kovac, and he's talking a lot about ergonomics and how to create a handle that basically isn't gonna hurt your hand. You don't have to spend the energy gripping because the handle is shaped to your hand. Your energy is spent better actually doing your carving. With this knife, I have to really get the leverage I want, I have to come back down here and that's nothing to hold on to. So I'm gonna try and make a longer knife handle, something that's more comfortable for me, and then I could use this knife in my carving kit for carving kuksas and things. I didn't want to put a handle on it before because I thought the sheath was so cool, but now that I'm carving a lot more kuksas, I have a use for this blade, and it's useless to me with this tiny little handle. So without further ado, let's go over to the workbench and split this handle off. I have this anvil set up for leather work, and I'm going to just take this chisel and just try and split that handle off. The cringy part's over. We don't need that anymore. We're gonna carve this out of a piece of beech wood. My uncle gave me a bunch of beech wood. This stuff is extremely hard. It's green, meaning it's still wet. So we're gonna split this, and I'm thinking this chunk about like that is probably going to be what we make our handle out of, and then the other half will be turned into a spoon. Splitting it right through the pith. So now we're just going to flatten it out until I get some sort of a rectangle with the axe. Okay, this knot might cause us some problems, but it looks like it's maybe, yeah, it's from here to here, and if we do the end of the hand, if we do the bulk of the handle here, we might miss that completely. And this piece of wood has a bit of a bend in it. I was hoping to use it more like this and have the curve in the back be that way, but I'm feeling like we might not have enough thickness here, so we'll have to turn it this way. So we might end up trying to straighten that out, especially because I'm a lefty. Well, no time like the present. Okay, and I'm going to take that over to the shave horse now. Okay, we got roughly a rectangular shape and we can draw our design on there. Hopefully that knot's not going to cause us too much trouble. Okay, the first thing I do when I'm drawing a handle for something is I trace the blade. And here I'll just even trace the tang just so I can see whereabouts it's going to be. And then we want the blade to sit about right here. So the handle is going to come up to there. Now let's just roughly trace this guy just as a guideline. So I want this to have a bit of a little finger guard. And watching Peter and Lee Stauffer, they have this big belly that comes out. Not them, they don't have a big belly, they're knives. And I want extra length on that blade. I want that to come out a little further, even more, because I want to have a lot of leverage on this. Okay, that's long. Here's a handle I made for a Mora 120. I wanted extra leverage, so I got that long handle. That's about the same length there, so that's good. But it's not a great handle, it's just a stick. Here is a handle I made for a hook knife, and this has an extremely long handle, almost like a Twickenham length. And I really like that. You can see we're getting about the same length, so I really like that length. But my friend Walter, who made this knife, said usually about that from the thumb, your pinky to your thumb. So that one's just about perfect. That one's longer, but I really like that extra leverage, especially when I'm getting down into a bowl, I can get two hands on it. This is a straight blade, so we don't need that same kind of thing. It's a bit thin here, but it's got those facets that those guys talk about. And I really like those facets. So we're gonna do that with this blade. So if we do that, then we should just skip past that knot or just have a little bit of it right around here, and that's okay, because we're gonna taper it down there anyways. Okay, so the next step is to drill where we want our knife to sit in. So we'll have to try and fit it right about there, I guess. Is the center. Okay, so we're gonna drill it out. I realize this is the longest drill bit I have. We're probably gonna have to cut that tang off. Center punch. Because this is greenwood, we can do that carving technique a little easier. Where you just move the drill bit back and forth. So we're gonna have to get about as deep as we can go in there. Well, it's making a bit of a big hole. I don't know what we can do to make that deeper. I guess we could heat that up with the blowtorch. That might be the next move. I totally forgot I had this guy. It's a little bit wider than I want it to be, but it'll go all the way to where we want it to go. So I'm gonna drill a slightly bigger hole into the top as a pilot hole, and then drill this straight down to the length of the tang, and then I don't have to do any burning or cut the tang. This is a much bigger hole than I wanted to drill, but I think in the long run it'll kind of do what we want. Okay, so the tang is about as long as where that stops. So we'll just drill down until we get to the bottom of that. It's about right there. Just clear out some of that waste. There we go. I think that pulled out most of the waste. Getting there. Yeah. We're almost there. Yeah, and I think if we put that in the vise and gave it a tap, actually, let's do that. That seats in perfectly. I mean, it's a little crooked. So our handle's a little crooked on the blank. So we're gonna kind of redraw it and then shape the handle to fit the kind of wonky way that we did this. And then I'll draw our template on. Okay, there we go. So that's a little more with that line, and now that's parallel. It's a bit thin at the top now, but that's okay. It's gonna get thinner as we build it, and it's a little fatter in here, which is good. And that'll leave us a nice thickness down here. Okay, so off camera, I traced this onto our block, and we have our side profile. So now we're gonna take that down to the line with the axe. Okay, so that's pretty much down to the side profile. I'm leaving a little bit just to work with the shave horse, to hold on to the shave horse, and then we can kind of smooth out that part and maybe that little bit. It's not exactly square, but that's okay. Okay, so just did some rough facet guidelines on either side. This is my setup until I finish my spoon mule. We're building a spoon mule for this bench this weekend, so look forward to that video. Easier to get a straighter planing cut with the draw knife. Okay, I've done about all I can with the draw knife and the push knife, and I'm just gonna do some whittling now and just clean it up with my sloyd knife, especially this little transition right here. And then when I'm done this, we'll fit the blade. Mostly just cutting off pencil marks here and trying to keep the facets even. So now I finished this up, and it looks pretty good. I did do a test fit, and it's a little off this way, which can't be corrected, but it's straight and parallel this way, and it feels good in my hand, so I like that. We're gonna make the epoxy in one of my little milk paint containers here. This is 5-minute epoxy, so we don't have to wait. Mix that up real good. Don't want to get any epoxy on the bench if we can help it. Let's use this little twig here to push it down in. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Even though we did that big drill, it does seem like a pretty tight fit. You can hear those air bubbles popping. Put some on the blade itself. Just down there at the bottom. And orient it so the blade is facing away from me. And now we will put the blade on and make sure we're in there good. Got a little tap with the mallet. Doesn't seem to be going on any further than that, so that's good. Take that out. Make sure it is nice and straight. Just get a little bit of a rag. Make sure it's aligned correctly. Looks pretty good. How does that look to you? Kids are having fun upstairs. And we will just set that in the vise lightly to set. I'll probably let it sit overnight. Put a coat of linseed oil, carve away the excess epoxy, and we'll be good to go. And we'll just put a coat of boiled linseed oil on that handle. Awesome. Let that dry for a couple minutes. Thanks for joining me in carving this new handle for my Mora Classic. You can see it's a little bit skewed back, but for my purposes it'll do exactly what I need. Like I said before, it's mostly for things like planing cuts on a kuksa, and I can get my hand right back here and get lots of leverage on those little cuts, lots of control. And that's what I was going for. So I guess the next thing to do is make a sheath. I've already sharpened it, but if you would like to learn how to sharpen a knife, you can look up here at this video, check out my knife sharpening video, if you haven't already, where I sharpen a Mora Companion, which is almost exactly the same as this. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a like on the video. It lets YouTube know that you like my videos and that other people also will like them. If you have the opportunity to share one of my videos with a friend, please do. Lots of people would love to carve their own handle from a block of green wood, and it's so easy. My method, I use the shave horse, but you really don't need to. You can do it with just a knife and an axe, or I guess you could do it with just a knife. You could carve the handle with the knife and then rehandle it, I suppose. Anyway, I guess the next thing for us to do is build a sheath. So that'll be the next video in this series. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll be me and you be you. Peace.